Hello and welcome. It's episode 43 of EdTech Chat and Chew. Are you excited?
Very excited.
Do you know why?
Why?
It's the last week of school in Kansas, friends. There's lots of good things going.
I got 5 more weeks left.
We don't have 5. We have a ways to go.
You started your summer early.
So yeah, but it is that season where we're all going to be transitioning very, very soon. But welcome to EdTech Chat and Chew. I'm Diane Smokorowski. This is
Micah Brown.
And then we have in Pennsylvania.
Hi everyone, I'm Mike.
And then we have in Austin, Texas.
Hello.
That's Joe. And finally from El Paso we have
Karen.
Yay! So team, like I said, good things are happening, but really big things have been happening in some of your other environments. So I think we ought to start with the roundtable. What do you guys think?
Yeah.
Good plan?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with Karen. What's the good news, Karen?
Hey, all right, so we have been rolling out iPads to the majority. It's almost all of our pre-K and kinder teachers here in the district. I know it's the last couple weeks of school, but we're using it as a time for the teachers just to dive in, try it out, learn, and come back with questions and things that worked and didn't work so we could really collaborate in on this. So we've been using this app called Seesaw. I have to say that I'm just in love with this app, but we decided that we wanted to share with our teachers how to use it where I'm their teacher and they're their students. So we're just going to show you real quick that in my Seesaw, can you see that I've listed all of my campuses as my students? So during training, they're learning how to, create with the iPad, and then they're turning in work to me. Well, to me as their teacher, right? So you can see their work. But then the second step is the last 2 weeks of school, we asked them if they would go back and try the lessons with their kids, and we wanted them to share one student example with us so that we could go back and share with the board and celebrate their hard work and creativity and what kindergarten kids can actually do. And this morning, I got a little ding in my Seesaw, and a teacher shared her student work with us already. So she went and learned on Friday, and then she went back and already shared a student example. And so, of course, I listened to it. They did a Chatterpick MoMA Art Lab, and I was just so proud. I'm so proud. So they went back and did it. So I'm excited.
That's
Karen.
Beyond awesome.
You rock, Karen.
And now they all want to use Seesaw with their parents. So yay! I think that was successful.
So I think you should contact Seesaw and tell them the story.
I will.
And then
Absolutely. And they're great. They sponsor ed camps. They're very active. They would love to hear that and share that around with their with their followers.
Yeah, and I just thought if I came to a whole room of kindergarten teachers and said, hey, I found this awesome app about a digital learning app, I don't think very many of them would have went in. But when they saw, like, even my parent app, I showed them what my child's teacher did on Mother's Day. She sent me this video of my daughter on Mother's Day. I was like, you just hook your parents. You've got them in your pocket. They, absolutely love you just because you're sharing what they're actually learning. And, so I think I got a lot of people like, well, how do I create my account right now? So it was great. It was great.
See, this right here, this is why I love chatting with all of you. Because Karen's enthusiasm is just oozing through the screen. I mean, I'm getting excited about it. I'm sure that all of your teachers are totally on board because if when you bring that kind of passion and excitement to it, everybody wants to get on board.
Oh yeah, it's been awesome. It's been an awesome couple weeks working with kinder teachers and pre-K teachers. It's been fun, so much fun.
That just makes me crazy happy. And when you said they're Egg Camp sponsors, I don't know if they're sponsoring Egg Camp Kansas yet, so we're now on the hunt. Another reason why I love working with you guys. It's awesome. Okay, Joe, what's happening in your world, friend?
Well, I'm a little bit of a zombie, not as bad as Mike, but we had a sleep-in this weekend at the TCA. We were giving away prizes to members for 35 hours straight from Friday morning till Saturday at 5 p.m. So I slept in the office. I was trying to sneak in, two little 5-minute naps, 10-minute naps, whatever. And so yesterday was kind of but it was fun. It was fun. We were giving out some really nice prizes. And let me tell you, I just got to share this because it's so cool. They sent me over to near Beaumont to a small little district to present on Chromebooks. And I didn't have a script, and Karen can tell you that when I don't have a script, it's the best because I do it Joe style. And I had so much fun because I was able to like share my philosophy on things, on education. It wasn't just on Chromebooks. It was on fitness. It was on Makerspace. It was on everything, and they were just loving it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm in the zone. Woohoo! But then I came back and did that giveaway. So yeah.
What did you just say?
You're in the Joe zone. Sounds like
yeah, it was.
Nice.
It was
That needs to
too
be a
cool.
meme. We need to meme Joe. On social media.
You never
Well-
know what you're going to learn when he's in that zone. I'm just saying.
You learn all kinds of goodness. You know, as Joe was being featured on Teachers Leading last week and just kind of helping to tell his story, there are so many awesome levels of Joe that, you know, you can't help but just think he's a rock star all the way around. So high five to you, buddy. The Joe zone is like my new pointer from now on. I love it. Okay, Mike, your turn. What's up?
So, you know, I'm transitioning from being out of school for a couple weeks, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this week I've got some really awesome stuff in school that I set up that I'm coming back to. So actually tomorrow we're in the midst of a career cafe little, I don't know what you want to call it, but last week we had different speakers come in to our kids to talk about different careers that they could get involved in, you know, when they get older. And I was asked to set up some virtual career meetings for kids in different grade levels. So this week, tomorrow, we've got one of the top 10 chefs in the country who's going to be taking us on a kitchen tour for our kindergarten kids because they're involved in a farm-to-table project. We have our 5th graders talking to an astrophysicist who's involved with both the Hubble Space Telescope and the James Webb Space Telescope, who's going to talk to us about his job dealing with different infrared radiations. We have Karen's friend who Skyped in with us last year to talk about being a cowgirl. She's going to talk with our kids. We have a video game designer who actually designed a video game based on native Alaskans, like the native tribes in Alaska. Is the subject matter of his video game. He's going to talk with one of our classes, and I think I'm missing someone else. But it's going to be a really awesome week of just really cool Skype calls that we're facilitating for different age groups. So that's this week. The last 2 weeks, I've been in Kenya. I just got back on Friday, and I actually have a little slideshow that I put together to kind of take you through the trip. If you guys want to take a little tour with me, would you like to do that?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Tell me if you can see that coming up.
We're good.
Okay. Okay. So this, I took thousands of pictures and almost 100 videos during the trip. So these are just a couple. So we all know Livingston, or you know, at least we do. But hopefully our viewers are familiar with Livingston. He's a teacher in the Kibera slum of Nairobi, and he does some pretty amazing things. So this is my first day when I got to Kenya. He and I went to the top of the Kenyatta International Conference Center, and this is us up on the 27th floor.
Wow.
Me wearing my goofy safari hat, and him wearing the Mets cap that I brought him from New York. So our first day, we worked at the Havila School, which is one of the schools in the slums. And this is right after I brought these kids. My son had raised $50 for crayons, so we went shopping the first day, and then the second day I was able to bring some different school supplies to the kids. And they didn't have any crayons to draw with beforehand, so this is me explaining that I wanted them to draw pictures for me that they could take pictures of and send with Livingston back. And actually, what they did is they created each kid like drew a different picture, and they created a card to send back to my son thanking him for the donation, which was really cool. He brought that in and shared that with his classmates today. I also brought over also brought over some different math manipulatives that I worked with the kids. The whole reason for me going over, the original reason for me going over to Kenya was we've been creating videos using math manipulatives for the 2 schools in Kibera that we're working with so that we could model mathematical concepts because they didn't have those hands-on materials to use. So for a year we've been sending them the different videos showing the concepts, but they haven't been able to do that themselves. So one of the things that I did was bring over math manipulatives and hands-on materials so they could model those math concepts themselves. So this was me working with a group of 2nd graders to model addition and subtraction with different colored chips. We also facilitated a bunch of different Skype calls at each of the schools that I went to. I believe we did 4 different Skype calls the first day with Havila. One of them with our friend Iro in Greece. which was really awesome. The first grade kids were learning English words, so they would share the English word with Iro. Iro would then teach them the Greek translation, and they would practice that until they got it right. And then the kids would share with her the Kiswahili translation, and then she would practice that until she got it right. So it was
precious.
Yeah, it was so cool. So we had a little 3-language, and then we would show examples of it. So for one of the words was door. So we showed the door to the classroom, and then Iro showed the door to her room that she was in Greece, which was kind of neat. From there, the second school that we visited was Chiri, which is a little bit deeper inside the slum. You can see just from the picture that the conditions are a little bit rougher down in Chiri. It's about a 25-minute walk deeper into the slum from where Havila is. And one of the really cool things was they had jump ropes there. So I went out and I started jump roping with them, and I asked them, hey, do you know any jump rope tricks? And they had no idea what I was talking about. So I said, can you swing it and get the rope under your feet twice before you come down, or can you jump sideways? And they just couldn't understand. And so I pulled out my phone and I pulled up a YouTube video of 30 different jump rope tricks. And so we spent the next 45 minutes all trying these different tricks and seeing how good we could be at jump roping. And of course I was terrible and they got a good laugh out of me, but it was a lot of fun to kind of hang out with them and show them the power of a YouTube video to learn some different things. They were really into that. We also did a couple of Skype calls with them. We Skyped in with South Africa and did a mystery Skype for them. We did, I don't know, it was like 3 or 4 different Skypes. I'm drawing a blank now as to what some of the other ones were. I think we Skyped in with Iro that day also and met with her. But the power was actually out that day. That's why the classrooms look so dark. So luckily our equipment was all charged because there was no power in that part of the slum that day, which is a pretty frequent occurrence from what I'm told. That wasn't out of the ordinary. Then the next day was the day where when the water filters were installed for Project LINC. And you can see those are some of the teachers at Havila and some of the people from Vestergaard who came to show how to use the LifeStraw filters. And the big blue filter that's there is a community filter. Havila got 2 community filters which serve the whole school, so every kid in the school has clean drinking water. And we were also able to send 64 different family filters. Hold on one sec, my bell's ringing. Sorry about that. So we were able to send 64 different family filters so that families could have clean drinking water as well, which is almost a little bit more than half of the kids there. So we're still trying to raise money to cover the rest of the kids. But it just so happened that while I was over there, during the time that I was in Kibera, there was a cholera outbreak. And 12 different people died of cholera, which is a waterborne disease, in the time I was there. So this morning when I came back and I talked to our 5th graders that helped raise money, I said to them, I know that you realize what you did was important, but understand you may have saved one of these children's life or their family, a different family member. There are people dying of cholera over there, and these kids now have clean drinking water that they didn't have access to before. And I hope that drove home the point of how important the work that they're doing was. But it was just really special for me to be able to be a part of documenting all the work that the kids in Kansas and Greece and our kids back here had done to make this happen. And to speak with the people from Vestergaard and to thank them for their support, while they were there at the schools.
Just a life-changing day for so many.
Mm-hmm. It was, and I took so many pictures and shot so much video. I hope that I documented it well. Time will tell. I guess we'll take a look at that as it gets uploaded. So this is right after Havila. We went to Chiri, and the same thing happened. They got because they have more students. They got 5 of the big LifeStraw community filters, and you can see hanging on the pole there is one of the family filters that went home. We were able to send 129 different family filters home with the kids at Chiri. And in addition to talking to them about the filters, the people from Vestergaard also did a lesson on just different healthy habits on when to wash your hands and when it's important to use clean water. And you can see the poster that Nancy from Vestergaard is using with the kids.
Okay, so I just have to ask, with Emily and Jairus, what was their reaction that day?
Utter appreciation. They were just so thankful that that people were interested in helping their kids. They're just like the people at Havila and Livingstone. They're so dedicated to their students, and they're trying so hard to help their kids be in a situation where they can overcome the abject poverty that they're growing up in. And for people on the outside to recognize the problems that they have and donate money for water filters to help these kids and to protect them, I think was pretty special for them to realize that other people were taking an interest.
Well, and then they said that they have to buy water. Will they still have to purchase water and still run it through these systems?
Yes. Yeah, they will. It'll save money for families because of medical costs, and also because from my time over there, from my understanding is that you can buy 2 different types of water. You can buy water that's supposedly clean for drinking, which may or may not be, but usually is okay. Or you can buy water that's maybe not as suitable for drinking. Usually what happens is people boil the water if they have the means to buy money for charcoal or heat to be able to boil that water. For a lot of the families, though, they run into situations where they might not be able to afford that. And so having a filter at home will will definitely help them save money on the charcoal, on the medical costs. For the school, I would imagine that they're probably still going to have to purchase water because there's no running water in the slums, to any of the houses or schools. So I don't know if it's going to save them a lot of money, but it is definitely going to make a difference for the kids because kids won't be missing as much school. They won't have to deal with medical costs, and hopefully it'll be a better situation where they get to learn a little bit more.
Good to know. Wow, just awesome.
Yeah. So from there, I spent the weekend at Masai Mara on a safari, and I've got some animal pictures I'll show afterwards. But after the weekend, we took it was about an 8-hour drive up to a small village, Livingston's hometown of Mukuyuni, which is near the town of Kimilili. I don't even think Mukuyuni is on Google Maps if you search for it. Maybe there's a school there with that name that you can find. But the village itself is tiny. And there's a small rural school that Livingston just started in his hometown with only 2 classrooms and about 15 kids. And I brought them math manipulatives also. And we worked on addition and subtraction, and for these kids it was just awesome to see the understanding behind math that they had only done on a chalkboard before, now coming to life in front of them, and to see the light bulb going on and for them to understand the concepts. For this girl, this is Rachel here that I was working with, she went from having never done subtraction before to learning how to subtract with borrowing in less than 20 minutes because of the base 10 blocks that we were using, which was just awesome. I mean, it was just so cool to see. And I don't know that that's something that could have happened if she wasn't able to really play with the concept and model it. So that was a lot of fun. In addition, they had their first ever Skype call, these kids. They Skyped in with Ann Merchant's 2nd graders and some of her parents in Australia. And you can see the stuffed animals there. My son had kind of outgrown his stuffed animals, and so he wanted me to bring them over for school kids. So I used them as a kind of way to pack my luggage to make sure that nothing shifted into things that things were protected. And so I had just given the kids the stuffed animals, and they loved them. They were hugging them, and then we had the Skype call with Anne. And so the students used the animals to teach different animal names in Kiswahili to the parents and kids in Australia. So they would hold up the chicken and then say cuckoo, which is the Swahili word for chicken, and hold up the frog and give the word for that. And it was there's actually a YouTube video up that Livingston shot of me facilitating the call that I didn't know about. It's just so cool to see the kids just interacting for the first time in this way. And I'm looking forward to Skyping in with them and keeping a relationship with them going forward, because in every one of the 3 schools that I went to, it was just, I just loved the kids. You do anywhere you work with kids, but it was just special. It was just a different kind of relationship. It's amazing to have a bond that quickly in just a couple of days working with kids. And they would come up and give me hugs and oh, Teacher Mike's here, and be all excited and high fives and fist bumps, and it was just wonderful. It was just so nice each place that I went. So I mentioned I went on safari over the weekend. This is the little 18-seat plane that I flew into the savannah into the Masai Mara. And we saw lions and elephants and baboons and hippos and all kinds of other animals. But we also, the last day that I spent before flying home, we did a group Google Hangout, which I know, Diane, you were on, from Lake Nakuru National Park, where we showed some of the animals that were in the background, and we were able to talk with a different Livingstone, who's one of the groundskeepers there in the national park, who answered some of the questions for the kids and took us around. And then after we were done with that Google Hangout, we actually went around the park and we found all kinds of different animals. And when we'd get really close to a zebra, we'd see who was on Skype, and we'd Skype them with the classroom and let them ask questions and see the zebra. And then we went somewhere else and we saw giraffes, so we'd Skype them with a different class and let them see the giraffe. And so we actually spent about 2 hours going around the national park doing that, giving kids a different experience. And we were also able that morning, before we went out on the game drive, to talk with the educational coordinator from the Kenyan Wildlife Service. And she did a recorded interview with me where she talked about some of the different national parks and some of the different wildlife in Kenya. But also we're working on, I'm really optimistic. She said her bosses would be very open to the idea of creating a partnership with them and Skype in the classroom so that they could offer regular lessons to kids from around the world learning about the different animals in Kenya and some of the conservation efforts. So that was one more thing that we got done. So Thank
you. Thank you, Mike.
Oh, and there's a giraffe.
Oh.
Yeah. So, yep. All right, let me stop sharing my screen.
Okay, Joe, now you've seen the tour. What's the coolest thing you just saw that he shared?
It was like everything about helping out with water, bringing, and then manipulatives for the first, then the first video, right? The kids that they were watching, they're tripping out on that. I'm all like, wow.
Yeah, every day was literally more incredible than the day before, and it just, it was. I never got more than 5 hours sleep any one night because we were going from this place to that place and trying to rush to get here in time, But it was totally, totally worth it. We did so much in 10 or 11 days. I'm so grateful to Livingston for taking me around and helping me set it all up, and I hope I can be as good a host to him, when he comes in next month into, Philadelphia for ISTE and, up to my hometown for a little bit. I hope that I can show him around as well as he showed me around Kenya.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah, I have no doubt at all. And, just by asking him the one question the other day, I said, how has this 2 weeks been for you? And he goes, oh my, because it's the best 2 weeks of my entire life of just getting to see things and so forth in his own country he'd never experienced before. So,
well, actually, just for him, he had never, someone asked me today, has he ever flown before? And I said, he's never been to an airport before he picked me up. That was his first time ever to an airport. He had never been to Lake Nakuru National Park, so that was a new experience for him. He grew up in a very rural area where electricity and running water are total luxuries, and he now lives in Kibera, where there's a different situation that he's dealing with. But the one thing that I should say about Kibera too, the conditions are rough, absolutely. The houses are made of mud and sticks in some cases, and there's shared bathrooms and no running water, and health issues. But when you walk through there, the one thing that you hear more than anything else is music and laughter. People there are just so happy. They're so appreciative for the little that they have. They're so friendly and willing to to help you out. And people were warning me, oh, it's dangerous over there, or whatever. And maybe it is in some situations. But I wanted to travel like a local. I made a point of, instead of staying in a hotel, I stayed with the director of Havila, in the slum. I insisted on walking back from the school the one day because I wanted to get a feel for the place. And I didn't take the attitude that I was going to put my head down and not make eye contact and walk through there as fast as possible. I went and I stopped at shops and I asked them about the fruit that they were selling and what was different and how come your oranges are green. And I tried to engage people and learn from them while I was there, and I think that made it less threatening for them, but also less threatening for me. I felt like I got more of a learning experience and I grew more as a person, but also it made it safer for me because people didn't view me as a, I was clearly an outsider. I was the only white guy, the only Muslim in sight. But at least I was trying to assimilate into the culture as best I could.
Well, you really touched my heart, and the work that your kids have put forth in you, and just that whole project. It's beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful.
The kids did amazing work, and I hope that they know the impact that they had.
Yeah.
It's. The interesting thing about that project is that just like if you drop a drop of water into a pool and how it ripples out, how many lives were intertwined in this tapestry of children in 3 different continents is pretty amazing. Yeah. Pretty amazing all the way around. So thank you for sharing your journey with us, Mike. Really, we did stalk your webpage.
I tried every night to before I went to bed, write down everything that I remembered and put as many pictures to it as I could so that other people could follow along, and so that 2 years down the road, when I want to remember everything that happened, I can go back and read and relive, because it really was an amazing experience that I Looking back, it's almost surreal. I can't believe that I had it. I'm so blessed to have had the opportunity.
It's just awesome. And Livingston, when he comes over, wow, the adventure continues. So exciting. We'll be seeing him in just a few weeks, and we might have to give him a little coaching on what to do to go through customs and things as he gets on the plane. But you'll be seeing us soon, Livingston. We can't wait to see you.
Yeah.
All right, so on a much more glorious view. Oh, what were we going to say, Karen? I'm sorry.
I was going to say, Joe, we need to find a way to get there. How do we get to ISTE? Oh, my gosh. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Joe, are you going to ISTE?
Is he frozen?
I'm not going.
You're not going?
No.
You got to figure that out.
We're going to Philadelphia. No, I'm just kidding.
We're going to Philadelphia, and then we just happen to hang out just a little bit. All right, so continue the round table, but Mike, high five. That was awesome all the way around. There's no way we can top this, but we'll continue this. What's happening, Micah?
Well, like she said, it's the last week of school here in Kansas, and so we're wrapping up end of the year things. And we just got some of our grant items, and we had written a grant for some STEM items. And so I've been playing with 5th graders and kindergartners and 1st graders and a little bit of 2nd graders, pretty much across the board with some Make Wonder robots with Dot and Dash. And so that's been awesome to get to see them problem solve and just kind of take it over. There wasn't a whole lot of pre-teaching, just that true STEM model of the exploring and the problem solving. So it's been a pretty fun week.
Most definitely. And we have our workshops starting up soon, so we're going to do workshops with Dot and Dash and Qbullets and all kinds of cool stuff. So we'll be having that showing up soon in the Great Google Tour. Once more, I just do love giving that tour, by the way. But myself, I just got back from the Intel ISEF, which was in Pittsburgh, and we had 1,700 students from around the world, over 70 countries involved, and these children were doing research in their own communities over science concepts of everything from animal science to plant science to modular robotics. I mean, you name it, there was a team of kids there. And there was nothing more incredible than to sit in a room with all of these ministries of education and how they were going to open opportunities for their children through science. And being a language arts person, they would start talking about these concepts in chemistry and so forth, and then the glazed over look came through. But you can understand passion, no matter where they are, and that was exciting to me. We had 2 teams from Kansas that we tracked down there from Liberal, and that was amazing. Very small community in far western southwest Kansas to get to go to the International Science Fair was pretty amazing. And the student who ended up winning, she won it for air pollution. So when you're in a plane, she's figured out a way, or she's working on that research, that when air is recycled, it's actually cleaned.
Wow.
So that when you're on a plane, that you will have a better, healthier environment than before. So yeah, she walked away with several thousands of dollars, in the double digits of thousands of dollars, that she could use towards her career or her research, whatever she chooses to do. But just incredible, and to see these children from around the world learn to make friendships together, no matter what language you spoke, what costume you wore, what geographic location you came from. They were just kids in love with science, and that was awesome too. So not quite as cool as Kenya, but I met some Kenyans, so that counts.
So Diane, I know I missed the last 2 shows, but did you talk about your experiences down at Dollywood?
Did we talk about it, Karen?
Well, I don't know. I missed last week, so we all did, right?
Yeah, we didn't do one last week because we're all in so many different zip codes. But the week before is when I
share that one, because I got to hear all about that.
I think I did share, but I'll give a very, very short version. Meeting Dolly Parton was incredible. She was the most down-to-earth, genuinely kind person I'd ever met. And my favorite part about her was the spunkiness. It doesn't matter what film you've ever seen Dolly Parton in, she's still that same person off screen. You see 9 to 5 and Still Magnolias and all these other films. And when you're there, you can actually tour her museum and see the costumes from all of these different movies. And I'm like, I know that scene, and I know that scene. But she gives so much back to her community. This is a woman who came from just a small cabin in the mountains, in the Smoky Mountains, to somebody who's now created opportunities for employment to thousands of people in her own community, and that's incredible. Talk about somebody who gives back. And when she gave the award to me, she gave my family about 15 minutes of just private time with her, not lots of entourage, but there were about 10, 12 people, and we just got to know one another. And I was telling her about the fact that we've been working, in this project with Kenya and so forth, and she gave me a check for $1,000 to use towards any charity of my choice, and I'm like, well, this is going to Project LINC, so that they can get more water. And she was overjoyed, absolutely overjoyed. So as soon as I send a couple of paperwork pieces in, then we can have that check to buy more water filters for those children. So it's pretty awesome. The ripple continues.
And tell the story about Little Smoke and the prom, because that was kind of I saw that on Facebook.
I loved that picture.
So the weekend that we were there 2 weekends ago was the prom for our local community, and Little Smoke was not going to go to prom anyway because he's a little bit on the antisocial side, but no, he's a great kid, but he's a little bit more of like, well, I don't have to spend a lot of money. I'll go to after prom and hang out with my friends. That's just more of who he is. But he didn't get to go because we were in Tennessee, and so we told Dolly, I said, Paul didn't get to go to his prom events because he was here. And she goes, Little Smoke, I didn't get to go to my prom either. Nobody asked me. I never had a date. So I'll tell you what. Why don't you and I be each other's first prom picture, or first prom dates? Come on over here and let's take a photo. And he's like standing there a little awkward because, and we're like, oh, okay. And then she grabs his arm and she goes, no, you need to put your arm around me because we're on a date here and let's get the real photo going on. So, yeah, not everybody can say that their prom date was Dolly Parton. Even though it was a mock version, it still counts.
That is too awesome. That is too cool.
So I have to say, friends, out of all of us here, we've been pretty blessed with some opportunities of awesome lately. Would you all agree?
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Awesome. Well, Mike, is there anything else that we need to share before we find out what's for lunch today?
No, that's all I got. So.
Okay, let's start with you. What's for lunch?
It was great. I mean, I loved Kenyan food, but I was a little tired of ugali kwakuku. Ugali is that's Livingston's favorite dish. It comes from it's cornmeal mixed into a paste into like a cake, almost like a polenta if you know Italian food. And they kind of have it along with spinach and chicken, and you don't use utensils. You just kind of dig it into your hand and make. And so I ate a lot of it, but it was good. So I'm happy that it wasn't that. My wife made an incredible. Like Bayou chicken emeralds recipe, lots of essence, spicy with chicken and sauce, and I had leftover. It was good.
She kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, and I put a little extra effort. I took it up a couple notches.
That sounds amazing. All right, Jim, what was for lunch today?
I'm probably going to do a nice little walk to Wendy's and have myself a chicken salad.
Solid choice. Solid choice. Karen?
I got my leftover chicken and mashed potatoes. I'm going to go heat it up right now.
Sounds good. What did you have today?
I had some tilapia and rice.
And then I went to the standby. I did the almond butter and sandwich. So it's pretty. I've got to get more creative on Mondays. So that's today. All right, friends. Thanks for joining us. Just an incredible tour again, Mike. Thank you. I'll have to go back and rewatch this so I can stare at those photos just a little bit more. So. Thanks so much, everybody.
Soon, so yeah.
I love it. All right, we'll see you guys next time on Chat and Chew. We'll see you.